From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your morning update.
Dennis's Heating and Air Conditioning is Northern California's premier heating and air conditioning contractor. From residential housing, large commercial projects, installation to repair, sheet metal fabrication, and everything in between, we are your go-to heating and air conditioning specialist.
Hello everyone, I'm Meteorologist Mike Krueger. Thank you so much for joining me here for your Tuesday morning update here. We're going to start off with a loop from the radar here because we did see some shower activity here make its way into parts of Siskiyou and looks like even close to Modoc County as well. Didn't really see any lightning strikes, which is obviously very good news, but we could see another round of some of that activity again this afternoon, not necessarily in the exact same locations, but Siskiyou, Modoc County may see a stray shower or thunderstorm this afternoon and evening. But overall, we look at our weather headlines, and if you watched yesterday, you'll see that these have not changed at all. And that's because it's pretty much status quo. Highs will be below normal all week long, even through the weekend. I do expect to see some isolated showers, possible thunderstorms, especially for Siskiyou, Modoc County today, tomorrow, and then everywhere else by Thursday, Friday, even Saturday. Now, highs will be climbing closer to normal by early next week, but overall, I'm still not seeing any big heat waves heading our way anytime soon. Here's a look at your Krueger's Quickcast for your Tuesday, July 22nd. You're heading out the door this morning, and it's turning out to be a mild start to the day. 65 degrees in the valley. Boy, oh boy, you can actually open up those windows, let some of that cooler air in. 50s elsewhere for the higher elevations and along the coast. You see that line of clouds to our south? That's the cold front. That's what pushed through yesterday, giving some of us some sprinkles. Boy, what a welcome sight that was. And then the cooler temperatures, only in the mid 80s for places like Redding, for example. But we go into this morning, we still have the fog along the coast. That fog may have a hard time burning off today. I think there may be a few spots along the coast that could see some partial clearing, but a lot of that mostly cloudy skies in the forecast there. Now, as far as rain is concerned in the mountains, pretty slim, but if we see anything, I think it's mainly going to be in Siskiyou and once again, maybe into Modoc County as well. So for today, not bad, right? 82 degrees out in Oroville, 88 degrees for Redding. We're keeping it below 90. The normal high in Redding is 101. Boy, we'll take that. Temperatures in the 70s and even some 80s for some of the higher elevations today, and low 60s for the coast. Looking at the mostly cloudy skies there. There's your 7-day forecast. And so here's what we got. Redding, I think you'll be back up to around 90 by the time you get into your Wednesday. That'll continue through Sunday, back in the upper 90s by Monday. For Red Bluff and Chico, more like the upper 80s, maybe some low 90s in there over the next 7 days, but overall keeping those temperatures below normal. For the coast, low 60s, mostly cloudy skies. Inland, I've still got you dry. I think most of the activity, when we do see it come later this week, will be east of Del Norte and Humboldt counties, where places like Trinity County could see that chance for thunderstorms Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Now, some of the forecast models also indicating that places like, say, Modoc County, Eastern Mountains, could even see some lingering thunderstorm activity even on Sunday. For now, I'm going to keep it dry. But we do have that chance for Siskiyou and Modoc counties today and tomorrow. Better chances, though, really even as early as Wednesday, and then Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. All right, that's a look at your Krueger's Quickcast. And, you know, you want to stick around for that deeper dive forecast for more details on that potential for thunderstorms in this when we expect warmer air. But before we get to that deeper dive, just wanted to remind you of a great free Weather NorCal app. You know, there's a lot of weather apps out there. Some of them are a little flashier than others, but bottom line, the Weather NorCal app is all about Northern California. I input the forecast into a majority of the numbers that you see for your 7-day forecast, the current conditions, the works, right? And it's going to be consistent anywhere you go. So go to Weather NorCal or search for Weather Space NorCal, download the app for free, and I think you'll really enjoy what you see there. All right, let's take a look at our fire forecast here. And we're really going to start off with the fire tracker, where the fires are and where most of the activity is. Now, we're going to start with the green fire, and there really hasn't been a whole lot of activity there. We've seen a 3% containment increase over the last 24 hours. As of 11:45 a.m., that's the report at 19,022 acres. So you can see some of the distances from different communities like Ingot. There you can see 5.1 miles from Round Mountain. And really these numbers are not changing because we really haven't seen much growth of the green fire. Now, it's mainly and still the Butler fire that we're keeping a very close eye on. We've seen significant growth over the last 24 hours. As of a little after 10 o'clock last night, it's at 17,591 acres. Yesterday, it was a little over 16,000 acres. It's still at about 6% containment. Now, you can see also a lot of the red dots on the map indicating the most recent activity we've seen over the last 24 hours or so. And you can see a lot of red dots now outside of that fire perimeter. So it looks like either it's a fire operation, and I can't really confirm that, but you can see some of that activity to the south of the fire. Let's take you in a little bit closer to the community of Forks of Salmon, and there you can see actually the fire perimeter hasn't changed much there. If we zoom it out here and take a look at some of the latest activity that we are seeing from Fire Tracker, there you can see some red dots actually just kind of in the northeast side of Forks of Salmon here. And you can see it's on the east side of the river and just outside of that fire perimeter. So we may start to see some new fire perimeter maps coming out later this morning for the Butler fire a little bit later today. But there you can see really no big changes as far as the overall distances to places like Orleans. Soames Bar, haven't seen much change there either. As you can see, it's still at about 4.4 miles at this point. In the meantime, we take you out now to the red fire, and the red fire hasn't changed much either. Now at 80% containment, still as of the 18th, July 18th at 9:55 p.m., reported at 116 acres. Now, there is some new information coming in from the Summit Fire, now at 90% containment, but the acreage hasn't grown, still at about 701 acres. And this information as of 6:32 yesterday evening, and there still is that evacuation order. In the meantime, just for kicks, we take a look at this distances from Etna at 12.4 miles and 15.7 miles from Fort Jones. Those numbers haven't changed either because the fire really isn't growing. We take a look at the smoke forecast, and the big smoke producer is going to be the Butler fire. And most of the smoke is within the vicinity of the fire itself. Eastern Del Norte, northeastern Humboldt, and western Siskiyou. That's generally the main area where most of that smoke is going to be. Now, some of it will push eastward into northern portions of Trinity County and even parts of Siskiyou County as well, as you can see right there going into tonight. Tomorrow morning, though, it kind of pushes back off to the north and west, and going into your Wednesday afternoon, once again, we have most of that smoke kind of over southwestern portions of Siskiyou County. So really the smoke is not traveling a whole lot, but some of you will be impacted by that here in Northern California. You know, these conditions can change rapidly, and it's very easy for you to kind of lose track. So one way to keep track of things as far as the fires are concerned, go to weathernorcal.com and click on fire danger, and you'll find a one-stop shop of the information that you need. Let's talk about the winds, and the winds are sponsored by, by Defensible Space and Brush Removal. You can see those winds are picking up this afternoon from the south, but nothing terribly alarming, nothing we haven't seen around here pretty much all summer long so far, and I think we're going to see the same trend going into your Wednesday. Now, again, with the stronger winds coming in the afternoon, that typically is a little bit of a concern, but with the higher humidity, lower temperatures, you can see that fire weather risk is mainly within that low to moderate range here, not only today, but that'll be the case here for your Wednesday as well. So let's take a look at your satellite image here. Once again, you see that line of clouds to our south. That's the main cold front that passed through yesterday. And really, in the time, it just depends on the timing of when that moved through you yesterday, but many people reporting some sprinkles and light showers associated with that cold front. Now, there were some heavier showers out towards eastern portions of Siskiyou County yesterday afternoon and evening, but those were just some afternoon convective activity here. You see the rust colors on the map, that's the dry air, which was over us until this trough of low pressure moved in. So that drier air has been pushed a little bit to the south. Now, we still have fairly dry air. It's not the most moist air that we've ever seen. You can see just really no colors in there, indicating it's still within that dry range here. But there has certainly been enough moisture and will be that we could squeeze out a shower or thunderstorm. And I think most of what we see here for today would be in Siskiyou and Modoc counties. Now, tomorrow, you can see we're beginning to see that inch its way a little bit more to the south. I still think mainly for tomorrow, Siskiyou and Modoc counties, maybe Lassen County getting in on that. And tomorrow also looking at the potential for some isolated dry thunderstorms, those dry lightnings, which can be a concern this time of the year as well. Then on Thursday, I think is overspreading it a little too far into the valley, but you can see, I think all of the mountain locations will see that potential for thunderstorms on Thursday, and dry lightning will be one of those concerns. Let's take a look at futurecasts here, at least through today and tomorrow, and you can see that we do have the clear skies for the valley. The afternoon clouds developing in the mountains could see a stray shower, maybe a thunderstorm in Siskiyou, maybe even Modoc County, but I think elsewhere, fairly dry conditions. Fog still along the coast here today, tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon. Now, tomorrow afternoon, you can see most of the activity is in places like Modoc County, but even Siskiyou County could get in on some of that action as well. But otherwise, I don't expect really much in the way of activity elsewhere. Now, Thursday, this is when I think we have the best chances for thunderstorms across the board in the mountains. The valley should remain dry. That's Thursday. Let's take you into your Friday, and I think it's going to be the same situation. Afternoon showers and thunderstorms. It's not really showing anything for places like Trinity County, but I think even Trinity County could see some of that here on Friday, and I think that's going to be the case going into your Saturday as well. And then by Sunday, this particular forecast model is showing dry conditions on Sunday. The European, however, is showing the potential for maybe some activity lingering into Lassen and parts of Plumas County as well. But otherwise, I think we're in that drier trend going into the second half of the weekend and early next week. So here's the overall setup that we're seeing. You see the mild air that's over us. That's why our temperatures were below normal yesterday and will once again be the case today. The two main pockets of heat are to our west and east. We're in between that. So as long as that mild air is in place, it's going to keep that heat from really building in. Now, it may get a little bit warmer here, but still well below normal for this time of the year through this week. That mild air will start to retreat to the north and west by the second half of the weekend and next week, and the heat over the desert southwest will start to build stronger and into Northern California, but nothing major. We're still going to be looking at highs, most likely even below normal by the time we get into Monday, Tuesday, or at least closer to normal for this time of the year, which, by the way, for the valley is still about 100 degrees, give or take. But overall, the long range, the Climate Prediction Center is still putting Northern California, and really almost all of California, in the cooler than normal category. Now, we look at the next 10 days, yes, we're below normal through Sunday, and really, even as we go into Monday through next week, the normal high for Redding is still 100 to 101 degrees. We'll still be below 100 degrees barely, but still upper 90s return by Monday through a good portion of next week. So yes, it's warming up next week, but nothing unusual for this time of the year. No big heat waves. Now take a look at the July temperatures so far. We did start off pretty hot with temperatures of 102, 106. Did see close to 110 on Friday, July 11th. But there you can see we saw some below normal temperatures for the first week, the second week, the third week. And I think all of this week, we are going to see blue squares on this map here, because temperatures are expected to remain below normal. So overall, a lot of people have been making the comment, boy, it feels like it hasn't been too terribly hot this summer. And you are correct. We have been on average seeing right around normal or below normal temperatures through a good majority of May, June, and of course this month as well. The wave heights aren't changing much here, so no small craft advisories. We take a look at your marine forecast for your Tuesday. We've got those temperatures, those winds from the northwest at 5 to 10 knots and that patchy, dense morning fog. Here's your Trinity County neighborhood forecast. How about 80s for most of you? Dry today, dry tomorrow. Chance for thunderstorms for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. For the North Coast, what you'll see here for the coast, temperatures in the low 60s under mostly cloudy skies, overnight lows in the low 50s. Inland, I don't have any showers or thunderstorms for you Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. That will be on that borderline. Places like Orleans, Hoopa, Willow Creek, you may get caught up in some of that thunderstorm activity, but for the most part, I think most of the inland areas will steer clear of that shower and thunderstorm activity here this week. But Siskiyou County, today, tomorrow, you got the chance. And then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, that chance continues going, and then by Sunday, Monday, those chances diminish. Same story for Modoc County. Temperatures today in the upper 70s to low 80s. For the eastern mountains, I think you're mainly dry today and tomorrow. You've got chances for thunderstorms Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and quite honestly, maybe even into Sunday. We'll see. I'm going to give it another model run or two before I actually set that in stone. Taking a look at the valley, still very pleasant. Look at that. Struggling to get out of the 70s for places like Biggs and Gridley, Willows. Elk Creek about 82, 80 in Hamilton City, Chico 83. It warms up a little bit in Chico, but still in the 80s through at least the first half of the weekend, and then back in the low to mid 90s by Sunday and Monday. Let's take you up to the north from the valley, 83 for Lakehead and Whiskeytown, 87 for the city of Shasta Lake, 88 for Redding. Red Bluff, a high of about 84 degrees. And taking a look at your 7-day forecast for Redding, I mean, yes, it's getting warmer, but upper 80s to low 90s pretty much through the weekend before we warm back up in the upper 90s, but most likely still steering clear of 100 degrees as we go into early next week. Get out there and enjoy this beautiful weather while it lasts in July. Boy, we'll take it. That's your morning update. I'll be back again at noon for your latest forecast. Have a great morning.
Fire spreads quickly. Don't wait until it's too late. Garmin's Tractor Service specializes in field mowing and light tractor work to help protect your family, your property, and those around you. We're fully insured, locally licensed, and ready to help you create the defensible space you need. Call or text Garmin's Tractor Service today. Protect what matters before fire strikes you.